that it's working. Not sure about the whatever. Quite fascinating. Here's my cow. Yeah, I know. It's not hi. I don't know when to say hi because I don't know exactly when it does. I mean, it's been going on for 15 minutes now. Quite interesting, I would say. So, yeah, I don't know what's up with this. Oh, okay. So this is if if you're watching the video, probably this is the least interesting video ever. But you have to start somewhere. So ideally, if anyone were here, I would answer questions. But nobody's here, which is, by the way, completely alright because it's cool. It's I expect nobody to be here. But later on, it is possible that somebody will come and watch things. I just want to establish a pattern that I will keep doing this every Wednesday if I'm around. If I'm not around, probably I will not do it, but that's only natural. So, well, this thing says somebody's watching it. Okay, well, that's interesting. Is it me? Who knows? But if anyone's tuning in, I'm answering questions about Hungarian, the language, the country, and depending on who you are, I might even answer questions regarding English. The only thing that people can do, if I understand it correctly, is like chat. And I'm the only one who you see. Isn't that the best deal in the history of deals? It is, of course. Naturally. Oh no. Okay, this is getting a bit scary now, because it says 3 people are watching. I wonder who these people are. It's a mystery. Oh well, now there is some pressure, I guess. I think the biggest pressure is if there's people starting, oh wow, hey, okay, so Julian from Argentina. Wow, that's a faraway country, and I think it's getting it's going to be summer there soon. Lucky bastards. Um, Here it's quite cold, and preferably snow. Unfortunately, the way nowadays snow works in Hungary is that I can actually show it to anyone who's interested. So the way you write weather in Hungarian is that időjárás. If anyone was interested, I don't know, but hey, it's fine. So lots of Hungarian stuff actually, but what we are expecting in the next 30 days is well, this in Celsius. Unfortunately, there is no way I could show this in Fahrenheit because, well, I mean, you could imagine that Hungarians are not very interested in Fahrenheit. We've been using Celsius forever now, so yeah, right. So it's this is something that It's cool. And it might even say snow at some points, but it's not gonna be. Seriously. That is not going to happen. I remember when I was a kid, in an insanely big number of years ago, people were we were experiencing lots of snow. Nowadays, nothing. But I came to realize over the years, based on some research, that this is normal. We're not supposed to have. Oh, right. Um, hey, cool stuff. So, right. Well, hi, Julian. It's a bit delayed actually, so right now you might think that I don't care about you at all, but I do. So the question is, finally a question, is that I'm trying to learn Hungarian because I want to travel there. Well, this is a great question, as politicians always say. Now, traveling to Hungary is interesting because if you look at the map, which is probably the most interesting of all, um, here, I mean, everyone arrives. Oh, hi. Uh, so, everyone arrives to Budapest, which is here, quite obviously, at least to me. And the eastern part of the country is over here, the western part is over there. That's fantastic. Now, everybody speaks, no, not everybody, but lots of people speak English in Budapest. So, if you only travel to Budapest and stay in the center, for tourists and whatnot, then it's awesome. It's quite fantastic because you will not have to learn Hungarian, actually. And I know that I teach Hungarian, and I would capitalism dictates that I should tell everybody that they really, really should learn Hungarian, but it's not true actually. Like, let's face it, we are prepared for tourists. We have been prepared for tourists for decades, so it's completely fine. But if you go to the eastern part of the country, nobody will speak English, not even German. If you go to Lake Balaton over here, most people speak German there because lots of German people come to the lake, especially in summer. By the way, if you come here in winter, nothing is there. Like around Lake Balaton, literally nothing, because everything is only open in summer. And yeah, it's weird, I know. But so if you want to leave Budapest when you travel here, then yeah, it's it's a bit more tough. That that's something. But regarding learning, oh, cool. So let's see. Let me fix stuff. Let's get this comment here, and so this is what I got, which this part is awesome actually, just to change the subject completely. This part is quite awesome. It's perfectly fine. This one has the mistake that everyone actually makes. So this is something that people struggle with all the time, by the way. Because, right, we are going back to Miskolc in a minute, but first, you need the T. Every object needs the T. So when you learn something, then you need to put the T there, only if it's an object. So so in English it would be I love the language, and this part in English would be the object. And in Hungarian it's almost the same, except we use attachments. So the English part is szeretem, and the language part, well, it needs the T. That's the problem. So, that's cool. I can even put it there. Don't know if it's useful, but awesome. So, let's go back to Miskolc now. Since I'm Hungarian, I kinda know where Miskolc is, which is awesome. And guess what? It's in the east. So whatever I was talking before, well, there you go. So now it really depends on how long you wish to stay. Because let's go to Google Maps for a bit. So I can give you, I mean, probably you have researched it. I mean, for all I know, you know everything about Miskolc, and everybody knows everything about Miskolc. Well, maybe not. So, the thing with Miskolc is that it's kind of an interesting city. It used to be an industrial city. Now it's considered very poor because you know, I mean, they had lots of industry, lots of factories, and now they have nothing. Obviously, it's the mountains over there, so it's pretty cool. You can go hiking, you can do whatever, but again, it's a very cheap, but also sometimes a bit dangerous city, even for Hungarians. So, if anyone would wish to go to Miskolc, then they have to go, well, I mean, you have a couple of options. If you have a car, like I do, then, yeah, I mean, you can go to Miskolc by car. It's kind of okay, like 2 hours away. But if you use public transportation, then, well, there you go. It's not that far either. We have intercity trains, kind of fancier trains, to be honest. There you go, I mean, Vonatis train. And with fancier trains, with fancier stuff, they look okay, even for me. It's although I hate, I mean, in Hungary is notorious about trains always leaving late, always arriving late. It's horrible, it's literally, but it's doable. So depending on what you wish to do, or what anyone wishes to do in Miskolc, well, there need to be some Hungarian learned before that. And the biggest problem with the language, I guess, is that obviously there is no other way to communicate than, well, I mean, if anyone goes to university there, for instance, kind of, or like, that's fine. If you have somebody to talk to, a guide, sort of like a friend or whoever, that's fine. But other than that, that's kind of like a toughest thing when it comes to Hungary. I mean, the only tougher thing will be like maybe over here, Nyíregyháza, for instance, like that place. That is a bit like to the east, and people, I mean, if you think about it, they have connections to Belarus and sorry, like Ukraine and Romania. English is not that interesting for them. So yeah. So studying, it seems, while I was talking. So studying, that's fine. Universities are kind of cool because whether you go to Debrecen, which is also one of the bigger university towns, or what else is there? Obviously Szeged in the south, or Pécs on the other side of the Danube. These, other than Budapest, these are the bigger cities to go um, for some sort of university. And the thing is that around the university, obviously people speak English, and obviously people, you will find, I mean, anyone could find people to help them. So it's sort of like a community inside a community. The only problem anyone could have with this university stuff is that it's not like, it's kind of a closed environment. So as you can see, there are all sorts of places, towns around Miskolc, and technically they are pretty close, so even by bike you can just go there and do stuff, and sometimes there are interesting things, but again, it's, well, people need to do that in groups, not because they would get killed, because that's ridiculous. This is not that kind of country, but it it's just really, it really depends on the experience, depends on whether you are with someone uh, that speaks Hungarian or not. And it's never about aggression, never about that. Everybody has like a great experience in Hungary, because other than some obvious things, like let's say that you're being an asshole, then obviously people will not really, that they will not like you. Well, but if you're nice, it's sort of, let's say that it's even legendary that Hungarians in the countryside, they help each other and they help other people, provided that you understand what they want, or what they understand what you want. Other than that, that's could be a fun experience, I would say. And Tihany, oh yeah. So Tihany is the keyword for the next session, I believe, which is that was quite quick. Let me show you in the, like, the grand scheme of things. This is Hungary, and it's actually an archipelago. So it's sort of like, if you imagine, like, okay, first of all, before I go into Tihany, Balaton is the bigger of the two big lakes of Hungary. This is Balaton, and on the east, over here, much smaller, of course, is Tisza. That's my kind of lake. It's the wilderness. It's lots of reed. It's fantastic. I love going there. It's brilliant. The Balaton, on the other hand, is sort of like a big bathtub. And that is, by the way, the official opinion of Hungarians. I mean, whoever doesn't necessarily like going there. It's the bathtub of Hungary. The reason is that if you stand on the shore, I don't know, here at Siófok, for instance, you can see the other side, and it's there. It's nothing is in between, which makes it a bit boring. It's good for parties. It's good for, well, visiting places like Tihany, because there are some museums and nice places. Again, going back to the previous stuff, is when in the beginning of the stream, I kind of mentioned that Balaton is closed. So right now, I went there to do some business stuff maybe a month ago. Nothing was open. I wanted to eat because, well, you know, food is kind of important. But couldn't, because, well, nothing was open. So I ended up, I don't know, driving for like almost an hour before I could find anything on my way back to Budapest. So that's, but if you go in summer or in spring, it's perfect. I mean, the weather is okay, and obviously everything's open. So does the, or so is the actual, not really cathedral, like a church. Let's say it's like a church, because um, in Hungarian it's called, the place is called the Tihanyi Apátság, which is sort of like monk place rather than like a proper church. And the fun part is that it is quite old, and the letter, or let's say the paperwork itself of the for the creation, it's one of the oldest written source in Hungarian. So this thing, which is the name rolls off the tongue. It's a Tihanyi Apátság alapító levele. Alapító levele is so this, ladies and gentlemen, let me find something. Could be as big. This is different. I would say, if I can find it, this is something different. But hey, imagine this. This is one of the oldest sources of stuff. So you can look at that. You can look around. It's a small place. You can go in. Probably it's like a 2-hour visit or something. So there. Now, next question, I believe. Life and quietness. Well, as you can imagine, the eastern part of Hungary is quite quiet, but anything actually that is not Budapest is quiet. So the way you can imagine Hungary itself is it has 19 counties, as you can see here. These are the borders of the counties. Budapest in itself is one county, well, or at the capital territory. And the truth is that I always have the impression that most of the population of Hungary, like half, lives there, which is not entirely true. Technically, only less than 2 million people live in the capital, and the surrounding area has lots of other million people. So my impression is mostly right. Most people, like almost half the country, lives there. So you can imagine it's pretty crowded. Not as crowded as New York or Moscow or Tokyo. Oh, good lord. But it's pretty crowded and loud and smelly. Every other city, like now that we have Miskolc as the topic, every other city is much smaller, much nicer, even though sometimes it has blocks of flats. That is the inheritance of the communist era. Those little thingies there. And mostly it's quiet, slow, much slower than Budapest, smells better, and people are nicer in general. Except if there are lots of gypsies around, and No, I'm not sure if I mean, if anyone, it's like common knowledge or not, but gypsies, the gypsy community in Hungary is kind of big compared to all the other communities, and compared to whatever other countries usually have, and they tend to be loud. They not like most of them are not really dangerous, so they will not rob you, they'll not steal, but they are loud. Their culture is much, much different. Now, around the Miskolc, you people might find a bit more of these, but but yeah. So security and peace. Peace is fine, like I said. That's perfectly okay. Security is an interesting thing because if I say that, if I say stuff like, well, you shouldn't go out to the ghetto during the night, that's true for Hungary and for most countries around the world. So as long as you do normal stuff, and don't go into weird neighborhoods, then you're okay. Um, Miskolc itself is, let's see the Hungarian, no, sorry, the English version. I mean, look, in Budapest has almost 2 million people. Compared to that, Miskolc 150,000, and it's declining, mostly because I mentioned before, that there is no industry there anymore. Nobody should live there. Most of the people are Hungarians. 3% of Roma or Gypsy folk. That's perfectly fine. So it's kind of alright. Like I mentioned before, uh, the mountainous area is around here in Budapest, and Miskolc is in the middle of it. So if you fancy a hike or something, then there you go. James, what are you trying to say, James? Let me look for this. Oh, Turkeve. Oh yeah, other than Hungarian. That is something that would be fun, I would say. It's kind of a challenge. I mean, look, like I said, this fits nicely in my little theory. Uh, so James mentioned Turkeve. It's a tiny place in the middle of the what we call the Great Plain of Hungary. Obviously, the eastern side, much smaller than Miskolc. Yeah, you have no chance there without Hungarian. So that is something interesting. But it's kind of close to the place I usually go, so it's fun. And the question, why? Is it to James's statement? If it is, which I'm going to pretend that it is, well, it's just, the thing is that, okay, so let me recap a little bit, and let's talk about the history of Hungary. So if we think about Second World War, because before that it doesn't really matter for now. In a Second World War, we sided with Germany, we lost, and as you can imagine, Hungary became part of the USSR, which is, this is not a very not a very good map. But hey, that's let me not fail. Maybe this one. Well, it's as good as any. So as you can imagine, like the USSR, the communist, the Union of Socialist Republics, um, Hungary became part of that bloc, which means that immediately after the Second World War, people started to learn, or like the government started to force learning, studying Russian in schools. So no English, only Russian. If you were lucky and went to like a fancier school, high school for instance, you could learn German. Because German, East Germany, was also part of the USSR, so good to go. Now, it was never encouraged to learn all the Slavic languages, by the way, so if you think about it, I do not speak Romanian or Serbian or whatever, it's not part of the education. Neither was English. So because English wasn't part of the education, nobody learned it. So imagine 40 years of communism with Russian teachers, no English at all, and suddenly in 1990, 89 to be honest, but 1990, this USSR bloc fell and we were on our own. This meant that immediately we started turning to the west, the western part, and sort of denying. So to answer your question, yeah, well, bye Julian, thank you for being here, and yeah, I'll keep doing this. This is fun actually. I did not expect that people would be so interested actually. This is kind of amazing. So yeah, next week definitely. And also I wanted to do like a 15-minute episode, but the original plan is up to 1 hour, so we have like 20 something minutes. So bye, and just keep coming back. Okay, going back, 1990. What happened was, imagine 10,000 Russian teachers in Hungary, and Russian is not the language that we need to teach anymore. So what happened was they retrained these teachers to teach English, which is like, well, you know, I mean, in order to teach Russian, for instance, or any language, you need to have a diploma. So that means at least 5 years of training in the language, speaking it properly, maybe visiting Moscow or something. And now, in 1 year or something, you're retrained as a teacher in English. So, when I was born in 85, when I went to school, that was after 90, I did not learn Russian anymore, naturally. But I also did not really learn English, if you think about it, because like 1 year of retraining is not even close to anything at all that you could teach at a university. No English culture, no pronunciation, like proper pronunciation, no proper grammar, nothing. It's just like, you know, reading and translating, basic English, whatever. So naturally I did not learn English in school. I had like a private tutor. So, but it's not about me, even though I would love it to be about me, because everybody loves to be in the spotlight. But to sort of long story short, here we are in the 2000s, or like 2010s now. Still, there are a number of teachers in Hungary, but because the salary for teachers is low, nobody really wants to be a teacher. so not the best and brightest go to teach in high school, because Budapest offers a little bit more salary. Then obviously people want to stay in Budapest and nobody wants to go to Turkeve, for instance, to teach English in the local high school, if there is even a high school there. So to answer the question finally, the reason for people not being able to speak English there is because nobody teaches them to, and nobody has the motivation to learn English. So I guess that is, well, thank you for the compliment. Yes, so I can go back to myself again. Yay! But yeah, so my English is a bit different, and people often tend to, this is quite interesting actually, to me at least, that people often tell me that obviously, I mean, I have whatever pronunciation, or accent, but I'm Hungarian. So people always tell me that, oh wow, you have a nice Hungarian accent, which is fun, but it is not the Hungarian accent I'm having. Well, not right now, not in general. It's very different. Probably it has lots of heritage from Hungarian, but I always show people what the Hungarian accent looks like, and this is something like, so from now on, I will talk with the Hungarian accent. It's very nice, and it resembles the Hungarian sounds that we have in the language. And to me this is insanely funny, and the fact that I am not laughing right now is because I'm obviously embarrassed because of the camera, and sorry, I can't do it with a straight face. Oh god. Right, so that is something like that. So yeah, that's something different. Most people speak English like that, so you can clearly, the Hungarian accent, I overdid it a bit, so to show you what's up. But most people preserve most of it. They don't really have the motivation, and I had I was kind of lucky I went to the UK for a bit, for a job, and it was a interpreter kind of translator job, so I guess I was kind of exposed to the language a bit more. But yeah, I mean, the problem when it comes to Hungarian and English with learning is that it's so similar. Oh, sorry, it's not even similar. There's nothing similar about them. Lots of other languages tend to say that, oh well, I mean, it's Portuguese or it's Spanish. We put endings after stuff. Well, mainly verbs. But the main engine of the Hungarian language is that we put endings or attachments to any word possible. Everything works like that. So when it comes to speaking it, technically you need to learn the words, and you need to learn all the, well, thousands of attachments. And so that is quite hard, if you ask me. I mean, I have had the luxury to have seen lots of people trying or even succeeding learning the language, and it's kind of hard. It's lots of struggle. So I do not envy anyone. I don't even know how I speak the language. Hungarian, I mean. It's probably, I'm just like, I was born here and I had nothing to do. I had years to sort of perfect it. But yeah, I mean, if I had to learn, I'm not sure I would. I'm not sure it is. Because the thing is that if you come to learn. Oh, and by the way, if you're Russian, for instance, and you like attachments, that's cheating. You have plenty of attachments, or at least I don't speak Russian, unfortunately, but have some friends in Russia, and it's fun. We have some similarities, actually, not with the language in general, but with different little attachments that we kind of do the same. For instance, when you say, for instance, like a person, and you want to add an attachment to make it cuter or something. Well, I digress. This is not what I wanted to talk about. Um, but attachments are fun, and they're definitely fun. So going back to the kind of original topic here, this whole people speaking or not speaking languages in the countryside. The main reason is that they don't learn it, and I think one of the most oh yeah, well, um, Polish is also fun, which I know very little about, other than there is the saying that Polish and Hungarians are friends, so that's cool. But anyways, so cool. Um, I think the biggest problem, and now I'm back, is that when I go to places like Serbia, for instance, which is supposed to be rumored as a much less developed country than Hungary, people speak better English than people in Hungary. And this is not just with Serbia, I'm just using it as an example. But countries that do not dub their movies but put subtitles there are better off, because people are exposed to English much more. But Hungary, even TV stuff, like TV shows, everything is translated. There are actors who actually act it out, the whole dubbing process, and you see people like moving their mouths in, like, let's say George Clooney, for instance, or Arnold Schwarzenegger, moving their mouths, but a Hungarian actor's voice is heard. Even in TV, which is crazy. So Hungarians are not exposed to English at all, and because of that, they have absolutely zero motivation to learn anything. And because also the low salaries, the generally low salaries in Hungary, people are way less traveled. Because if you think about it, if you live in Turkeve, now that is the place of choice today, or Miskolc, you can go to Balaton because you can save up that much, but you can't go much further. It's not like this is the other way around. Like, the prices are kind of the same, like European level prices. So if you come here from Austria, for instance, you find the same prices, like whatever is €1 in Austria, it's probably €1 in Hungary, exchange to forints. And whatever happens, what happens is that, well, obviously you have a higher salary, more stuff, more money to spend. The other way around is not like that. So people, not a lot of people make it to like Austria, and then like, so whatever is happening right now is that people from maybe Austria, Belgium, the Netherlands, they retire, and often they come to Hungary because here properties are much cheaper. I mean, much cheaper than in the Netherlands, for instance, and their pensions are much higher than the average, so it's sort of like they can live like kings. and South Park is broadcast in English with Hungarian subtitles. Oh, that could be true. Well, I have to be honest, I don't watch TV. I mean, I look at YouTube stuff and I do other things. So, but that's kind of cool, I think. Maybe look, maybe there is that sort of turning point that people are trying to learn stuff, but not sure if it's helping yet. But yeah, I believe that with the exposure of a lot more cable channels, I mean, it's impossible. I mean, when I talk about television, the way I experience television is crazy. The last time I watched TV properly, like as like a kid, just like looking at the TV as like a source of entertainment instead of playing computer games or something, was a lot of years ago, and we had like 3 TV channels named TV1, 2, and something else. So that was, yeah. And yeah, also from Switzerland. I mean, you can't don't even let me start on Switzerland. Switzerland is one of the, especially Zurich, is one of the most like the richest, let's say richest or the highest salaries, and it's the most expensive town or like city. I mean, I went there some weeks ago, and I was like, oh my god, I sometimes I just like needed to process the things that so often people in Hungary have the impression that if you go to a Western country and you get like thousands of euros every month as a salary, everything else is much more expensive, so it's not really worth it. So everything is the, but that's not really true. I mean, some stuff is a bit more expensive. Houses are a lot more expensive, but that's mostly it, and everything is kind of balances out, but whatever you can save, it's a lot more. That's why a lot of Hungarians leave Hungary, work abroad, and come back or retire to Hungary. But Zurich, oh my dear lord, that's an expensive place. And obviously, I would imagine that salaries are kind of like, well, in Hungary we don't really talk about salaries, so when I talk to friends, I don't really talk about salaries. So I would just imagine that it's a lot more, because otherwise everybody would live, I don't know, in tents instead of nice flats and houses. But yeah, I mean, if it's a valid idea, even from Germany, you come here, buy a house, and that's a lot cheaper. It's a cool way to retire, and some of these people learn Hungarian. Obviously, I mean, if you live in a small place, you can't always use your arms and legs to communicate. So wow, okay, that. Well, we have talked about a number of topics today. I did not expect that. I have to be honest with you, but it's awesome, actually. It's pretty cool. So, it's not really the end of the video, but still I want to thank everyone that showed up. That's pretty amazing. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Right, what else is there? I think I closed most of the topics. We talked about the language, we talked about the distribution of people in Hungary, which is always an interesting topic. And well, I don't see any more interesting questions, so I might as well talk about something interesting. Look, here is a map. Nah, that's a bad map. I don't like it. It's not big enough. How about which map? I'm looking for a big map, a really big map, but I don't like this. You can't see Hungary there. Let me just go back to this then. Well, we can work with this. It's fine. So, oh yeah. So before I talk about this lesson stuff, yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't have a lot of time to come up with clever lesson stuff, but I'm trying to figure stuff out, how to continue, what to do next. It's getting increasingly interesting and harder actually, because when it comes to lessons, I mean, I talked about the basic stuff in Hungarian, like how to put attachments at the verbs and whatnot, but now it's getting a bit more complicated, and what I usually do is, well, when it comes to my students, we start practicing, which with the videos it's a bit harder to do, so I'll need to figure out all the crazy stuff first. But yeah, if I really had to put a time frame there, the latest is January that I will like start really making proper lessons again. I would say that's something that I could promise. Maybe even before, depends. So, whatever I wanted to say, so I'm not one of those people who would go crazy about the Second World War and the First World War and then stuff like that, but it's worth noting that the way Hungary looks like today is a lot different than the way Hungary looked like about a little more than 100 years ago. And it was interesting to see that these territories we had, I mean, just this one, which is modern day Slovakia, this one, which is Transylvania, a big part of today's Romania, a big part of Serbia, or at least half, and a big part of Croatia, or actually mostly Croatia. These were territories where people spoke Hungarian, lots of Hungarians lived there, but they were loosely connected to Hungary. So the last time Hungary experienced a truly sort of multinational country experience was more than 100 years ago. And nowadays, nothing's going on. I mean, Hungarians live in Hungary, and that's about it, which obviously doesn't really help when it comes to learning other languages, because if you live in a random place like whatever, then it's not like, oh yeah, here it is, Turkeve. Then, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, in Romania people speak Romanian, in Serbia people speak Serbian. Those who speak Hungarian in these places already speak two languages. So it's kind of interesting to see that the territories that were detached from Hungary, and people say it was a horrible, horrible thing, but let's not dwell in that. So the territories that were detached from Hungary actually kind of worked out for them, because when you have to speak two languages, and then of course they are taught English and perhaps German, it's easier to learn more languages. So that's kind of fun. It's a fun fact that but in Hungary people really don't need to speak other languages, because if you don't have the option to travel because of the before mentioned money problem, if people don't really come here, unless people who retire here, but if you imagine like a place that has 1,000 Hungarians and you go there, that's one. I mean, technically you could bring your family, but I doubt that your family is more than 100 people. So you will be less than maybe 1% of the people there. And even if you bring your friends, that's maybe 5%, still not enough percentage for people to learn another language. A great example for people who learn other languages is Budapest, because they are exposed to international companies, multinational companies, stuff like that. And at Lake Balaton, where people speak German. And thanks for the compliment. Also, a last food for thought as like finishing stuff is that in at Lake Balaton, it's a very significant place when it comes to German as a language, because when Germany was divided into East Germany and West Germany, I don't, whatever, then somehow Hungary and Balaton itself ended up in a position where people, families from West Germany and families like uncles and cousins and all that sort of like family from East Germany came to Balaton and spent a couple of weeks together having fun. So Germans kind of like, let's say some Germans are grateful for this opportunity, and of course Hungarians who wanted to do business at Balaton, selling langos and hamburgers and Wiener schnitzels and whatever that was going on back then in the 70s, 80s. They actually had to learn German, at least on a basic level. So yeah, these are the places with different languages. Oh yeah, and of course, you know, the Western place, like the Western, let's say, whatever, I lost it. The Western, oh, now it's here. These three Western counties of Hungary, what people usually do is actually they go to work in Austria. Because of the European Union, they can do that freely. So you have a house in Hungary, but actually go to Austria for a much higher salary. But it is always advised to speak German if you have plans like that. So I believe that would conclude actually our little seance or cult meeting, if you say so. So to me it's, I mean, this has been awesome. So thank you for this experience. And I believe I'll be here next Wednesday. Now it's kind of mandatory because people seem to like show up, which is awesome. So all I can say is next time, probably different topics. Don't forget to prepare with more questions, because some of them I can answer, apparently. So thank you very much for watching. You've been an awesome audience. It was really enjoyable. It's amazing. And see you all next Wednesday, same time, 8 o'clock Hungarian time, or like GMT +1, I believe. So have fun.